We give you a news headline, and you will guess the missing word or phrase. When you know the answer, just blurt it out, and if correct, keep track of your winning points in your head, with a pen, or with a counter. Questions are worth 1 point. However, the 5th and 10th questions are genius-level questions, are extremely difficult, and as such are worth 3 points each. If you get any of these quiz questions correct, consider yourself very clever, indeed. As a reward, we have a bonus comedy clip for your enjoyment after the final question. And now, the first question of our quiz. Trump's doctor said he may not be entirely out of the woods yet, but the president chose to leave the hospital to return to the White House. Don't be blank of COVID. The answer is afraid. Arriving at the White House, Trump climbed stairs to a balcony and made a point of pulling off his mask for a photo op. He then entered the White House, endangering the lives of the hundreds of people who work there. Even though he was infected with a deadly virus, Trump defied public health blanks and left Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to greet supporters from a slow-moving SUV. The answer is guideline. He said he was bored of being in the hospital. In the vehicle with Trump were several Secret Service agents. Health professionals said the agents were at risk of contracting the virus while in such a closed environment. White House physician Sean Conley again said Trump was doing very well, yet he was contradicted minutes later by Mark blank, Trump's chief of staff. The answer is Meadows. Citing a fever and a drop in blood oxygen level, Meadows said, the president's vitals over the last 24 hours were very concerning. In a tweet he sent at nearly 1 a.m. just 32 days before the election, Trump said that he and the blank had tested positive for the coronavirus. The answer is First Lady. The president's announcement followed months of his downplaying a disease that has killed more than 207,000 Americans and plunged the nation into an economic crisis. In their first presidential debate, Trump interrupted Biden almost every time the Democratic candidate spoke, prompting debate moderator blank to plead with the president to be quiet. The answer is Chris Wallace. When Biden asked Trump if he would be willing to condemn the Proud Boys, a group of white supremacists who endorse violence, the president refused. Instead, he called on them to stand back and stand by. In a secret 2018 recording made by her former friend and advisor Stephanie Winston Wolkov, Melania Trump belittled the fate of blank children taken from their parents at the Mexican border. The answer is Migrant. Give me a effing break, she said. She also complained about having to work during the holidays. I'm working like bleep my effing ass off at Christmas stuff, she said. You know, who gives a F word about Christmas stuff and decoration. The White House contacted Amy Coney blank about being a Supreme Court nominee only a day after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on September 18. The answer is Barrett. On September 21, Barrett accepted Trump's offer to be the nominee, 4 days before Ginsburg was to lie in state in the U.S. Capitol. Trump paid only $750 in federal income taxes in 2016 and in 2017 and received an income blank of $72.9 million after declaring large losses. The answer is tax refund. According to a New York Times investigation, Trump is $421 million in debt. He once boasted that his tax returns were very big and beautiful, but he has for years refused to release his returns. Claiming once again that mail-in voting was fraudulent, Trump said that if he lost the election, he would not commit to a blank of power. The answer is peaceful transfer. Well, we're going to have to see what happens, he said. This final question is a tough one, and is worth 3 points. Congress in March approved $1 billion for the Pentagon to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus, including making more masks and blank available. The answer is medical equipment. Instead, the Defense Department gave most of the money to defense contractors for jet engine parts and other military supplies. Congratulations! We have only presented the atrocities of the past month, and you did well. Remember this quiz when you place your vote. Vote early.
There was once upon a time that to be a Republican in this area of the country felt a little bit like being Gary Cooper in High Noon, outnumbered in a big way. But I remember the story of a fellow who was running for office as a Republican, and he was in a rural area and it wasn't known to be Republican, and he stopped by a farm to do some campaigning, and when the farmer heard he was a Republican, his jaw dropped and he said, "Wait right here till I go get Ma. She's never seen a Republican before." So he got her, and the candidate looked around for a podium from which to give his speech, and the only thing he could find was a pile of that stuff that Bess Truman took 35 years trying to get Harry to call fertilizer. So he got up on the mound, and when they came back, he gave his speech. And at the end of it, the farmer said, "That's the first time I ever heard a Republican speech." And the candidate said, "That's the first time I've ever given a Republican speech from a Democratic platform."
Gets lonely out here on my deserted island. Thank crikey I have my AI trivia game to play every morning. Make it a habit and subscribe now, and you too can start your day with 10 minutes of great fun. And you just might learn something. See you again tomorrow.